Welcome, everybody. Welcome. I am Coach Les, and this is Less is More Coaching Podcast, videocast, and I am currently live also on Clubhouse, where I will be inviting people up on the stage to join us in the conversation as we get going today. And in the meantime, I'm here to share with you a few of the things that I really find super powerful going forward, and that is looking at depression and anxiety and some of the ways in which we view this today and some of the things that we are currently doing to support our world. And it just occurs that more and more things keep happening in the world to drive people, along with the media, pushing to leave us into a state of, oh, this world is a sad place. It's a terrible place. And it's such a cruel and horrible place. And people deal with depression, deal with anxiety, and deal with suicide, and deal with all of these things. Now, first off, I want to start off by putting my disclaimer out there. I am not a therapist. I'm not a counselor, I'm not a psychologist, and I'm definitely not a psychiatrist. And today, what I'm here to talk about, and you can also go and see on my website, that you can see below here on the screen, and if you're on Clubhouse, you can check it out on my bio. I am here to discuss communications integrity. And what that looks like and what we're going to be discussing today is how does integrity play a role with depression and anxiety, and the overriding principle of all of it, bringing it all full circle to grace. And do we give ourselves grace? Do we give others grace? So stay tuned. If this is a topic that's of interest to you, get your pen and paper out. For those of you that are watching online, do me a favor, jump into the comment section and tell me a little bit, say who you are, where you are, what you're doing. If you have any questions about this as we go through it today, we'll be together here for the next 30 to 45 minutes speaking about this. And as people come in, if people come in to Clubhouse, we may have some guest speakers. We have some people that choose to come up on stage and share their knowledge, share their wisdom, maybe share a question or two, and really get us looking and digging into a little bit about life. So once again, I just want to thank Steve Appel for having this podcast in his club on Clubhouse, mancavepodcasting.com, and also taking this replay and posting it onto his website at mancavepodcasting.com. For those of you that don't know anything about mancavepodcasting.com, it is the place to go if you're starting to get into the podcasting business and you want to be able to do it affordably, have somebody manage the conversation, have somebody manage uploading it, making sure you sound phenomenal, making sure that you are delivering the content that you say you want to deliver. Steve Appel, who owns mancavepodcasting.com, is an extraordinary executive producer, and he does very well at working with people, having people look at who they are, how they are showing up inside of their podcast. And today, I want to jump in and dive right into the topic. Have you ever been depressed? It's the first question everybody always asks. Hey, Sean, wait, thanks for joining me from Hastings. Have you ever been anxious? Well, I've been both of those things. And in college, I could definitely say there was a time when I hit rock bottom and was thinking of thrill-seeking an adventure into death. And what I was dealing with was integrity. And I can look back now, and as clear as day, all it is integrity. My integrity, the overwhelm that I was living inside of was completely out of whack. 100%. There wasn't a single area that I wasn't dealing with a frustration, dealing with overloading my plate, not sleeping enough, dating too many people, and burning the candle by throwing the entire candle onto the flame. And when I look at it, I look back now, here I am in school at a part-time job. Actually, a couple part-time jobs. I was a referee for soccer, for volleyball, for floor hockey, for hockey, and for broomball, all intramural. I was in charge of mowing the yards of the two sororities on either side of the fraternity and shoveling the snow all winter on both of those two sororities. I was also a full-time waiter. I was also part-time in the National Guard in ROTC and taking a full load at school. And of course, how could I ever forget, which I can't, dating and doing my best to fill my schedule, fill every single part of my day with dating. And when it came time to doing anything like, quote unquote, a real date, I didn't have time. Nope, if you want to come over and study, I got to study. If you want to come over and do this, I can do this. And I see today people, same thing, putting and throwing as much as they can, more than onto their plate, and not being responsible for the impact of all of it and how to manage it. And I got to the point where my grades weren't great. And I said, you know what? I'm not here to get grades. I'm never going to be a straight A student. So who cares if I'm a B student? And I sat back and I watched. And I watched and I watched and I watched people, and I watched people get overwhelmed. I watched people get depressed. I watched people get frustrated. I watched people quit. I watched people do things to cut themselves off at the knees and get fired for lack of performance. And yet I knew their performance was well more capable than what they were demonstrating. Nothing has changed since that time, except for me. I know things have changed for me personally. What I'm suggesting is we still get overwhelmed. We still get busy. We still promise too much. We still take on too much. We still overpromise and sometimes underdeliver, which leaves a big hole. And I think to myself, how would I communicate differently today? Because I do have opportunities today to communicate differently. One, getting depressed about the situation doesn't do any good. Like, really, in the world of it, does it shift anything? Does it create anything? No. all it does is hijack our minds and not have us focus on what's important, which may be just as simply as getting things done. And I will definitely say that as I sit here thinking about this, and I've been sitting here since 6 o'clock this morning on and off doing Zoom calls. I realize that with communication, anything and everything is possible. I'll say that again. With communication, anything and everything is possible. It's that simple. You might say, well, Les, I'm dealing with a breakdown around finances. Great. When did you stop communicating effectively with yourself and your spouse or your significant other around finances? At what point did you sell out on that communication? At what point did you go, ooh, I want that latest watch? Ooh, I want that latest new car. And then are you responsible for how to fit it into your life? Well, when we think about this, how many of you in small business have a bookkeeper? I can tell you I do. Why? Not because I can't do the numbers. I look at the integrity of me doing the numbers versus coaching another client. And do I have anxiety about that, or am I depressed about it? Well, I'd like you to consider, if I go to that depression place, I'm looking at the past and judging my situation. And then in the judgment of my situation, making another choice. And I liken this whole story to one of the things that I talked about today with a friend, and that is getting shut down for the pandemic. And there was a lot of talk about suicides went up, and they may have gone up in the beginning. There's definitely some to that. But over the long haul, the numbers, according to another friend just recently, the numbers add up and say, nope, there was maybe a little peak, but there's no fundamental shift, no different. In fact, the pandemic created some safe space for a lot of people that might have gone down that path. So I'd like to look at depression first. Where does it live? Depression lives in our conversation about something that happened in the past. And we take that action that happened in the past, we take it and put it with us and get depressed about what happened and how it happened. In that space, what does it look like if we look back and go, okay, you're in the past. Here's what I want to take away from my experience with you, whatever that you is or it. I want to take away this, and this, and I'm going to go write it down. That's my learning takeaway. The rest The rest is a story. And how we make up those stories determines in the moment the integrity of our next action. I want to welcome Michael into Clubhouse. Hi, Michael. Just noticed you there. If you'd like to come up on stage, you sure may. Thank you for being here. And when we look at the workability of the past is the past, and there's absolutely nothing we can do about it. Now, some of you might be sitting there going, but less. I know I could change my future from my past. Okay, how? Well, this is one example, by the way. I'm making lots of money now. And before I was a pauper, living off the streets every now and then because my parents didn't have enough to feed me or the kids. And I now, as a member of society that's looking to do something, I set the depression aside. I look and see, look, the depression is in the past. And if it's in the past, why do I need to put it in the future? Why do I need to put it in the present? Why do I need to bring that depression anywhere near what I'm currently focused on? So I pick it up and I set it in the past where it belongs. I now look and see that it impacted these other areas. So when I go and check out these other areas, I look and say, okay, so this, and this currently has no integrity. Well, what do you mean it has no integrity? Well, it has no integrity because there's no one. No one. And then there's the communication piece. How do we communicate to self? We can communicate to self by saying, look, this happened. It didn't work out very well. It was frustrating. It upset me. It put me back in the past. And now I'm taking that and I'm putting it in front of me and living it over and over and over and over and over, kind of like Groundhog's Day. And Groundhog's Day didn't work. It doesn't work. It's frustrating as heck. So we want to look at the fundamentals of what happened, what we said to each other, and go and see, where did the first domino fall? Where did the first breach of integrity happen? And who breached it? Without integrity, nothing works. So let's take a look at the design that I have on the board here. I have this wheel. This is for those of you on Clubhouse. And I will go ahead and put this on my bio profile picture. Whoops. Well, I can't seem to find the picture, but I can show you the picture behind me. And for those of you that are on Clubhouse, you'll have to go over to one of my social media places and take a peek at it. You'll see it there. It's multiple wheels. How you doing, Ed? Come on up. Appreciate you. Oops. Don't know why I didn't let my thought. I was inviting you to come up, but maybe not. Don't know why this isn't working, but there you go. There's an invitation to speak. Should show up as a green bar across the top, and just click on it.
Hey.
How you doing, Ed?
Great. What about you, man?
I'm doing great. Thank you for joining us today. We're talking a little bit about depression, a little bit about anxiety, and the world that we live in currently, especially with the war going on and a few of those frustrating things. Welcome, David. Welcome, Peaches. What are your thoughts about depression and anxiety? Okay. David, Peaches, any of you guys want to come up? Come on up. Not sure what happened to Ed. All right. He must not be coming back as much as I can wait. So with depression being in the past and integrity about looking behind us doesn't have a lot of integrity, we then look at what's anxiety. Anxiety is now based on the future, based on looking into the future. And really, there's only one person that can foresee the future and know the future, and that's God. Whatever your interpretation is, Lord, Yahweh, the Creator, however that is, we are not able to see the future. And when we get anxious about the future, we're then taking stuff that we know about the past and thoughts about the past that are trickling in as we look at stuff from the future. And we take that past and put it between us and the future and filter the future through the past. Well, guess what that leaves us with? The past. So it's my intention throughout the course of the next 15 to 30 minutes is that we start to look at the question, is it really possible that being anxious or being depressed is totally made up and is one of the most disempowering conversations we could possibly have with ourselves? And that we have the inherent power to catch ourselves moving in and out of those things. And I completely... Hey, Michael, how are you?
Yes, I'm doing great today.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming up on stage. I was excited when Ed came up and then poof, he vanished.
Yeah, no, I was a little disappointed, but it can be like that. And he was new.
Hey, there he is. He's
there
back. Hey, Ed, you're back.
Yeah, so we have bad internet connection.
Oh, got it. I understand. Well, welcome to the stage. Welcome to Clubhouse. Looks like you're here within the last 7 days, and thank you for coming up on stage. What do you want to say about depression in the past and anxiety in the future? All right, Ed, you have to unmute. If you're talking, the microphone's on. To remove the microphone, it's lower right. All right. He must be new, Michael. It's all good. So, Michael, what are you getting out of the conversation so far? What are your thoughts?
You bring up a lot of good points. I think anxiety is that's you the future and those expectations be stressful or not being met. So, anxiety there's different forms. Can be boiled down to that. It's expectation. And depression is, that's looking back at the decisions that you've made and things that are no longer in your control, and being stressed out by that. It's being stressed out about things that are no longer real, quote unquote, and in your present time. And it's something that it's part of the human condition. Anyone who's has the ability to do things like people do, and in our world like we do, experience things.
Michael, you're going in and out a little bit. Hey, Michael, I'm sorry, we can't understand you. You're going in and out a little bit. All right. Well, with that, hi, Kimmy. How are you today? Welcome to the stage, Kimmy.
Hi, guys. Hi, everybody.
How are you doing? Would you like to share something around anxiety or depression before we move on?
No, thank you. I'm good. I'll just listen for now.
All right. Well, flash your mic if you want to jump in, okay? And thank you for being here. So as I was saying, one of the things that we're determining now is we're seeing that anxiety is something from the future, because without us looking to the future, we're not getting anxious about anything. There just is what's going on right now in front of us, and now in the present. When we start to plan something, reach out, look out, it becomes what I would call this massive filter through which we move into anything in the future. And if we don't get it complete, don't get it spoken about, set it aside, everything's going to be dirtied by that filter. And I look at that and say, all right, so how does this have integrity, and how does this connect to communications integrity? And clearly what happens is that when we are in integrity, we're communicating with those people around us. We're communicating with our coach, with some of the people that can make a difference in our life, letting them know, oh, you know what, I'm a little bit overwhelmed, i.e. stress out, want some time off. In short, even a half day. And I think there's this place called grace that we don't give ourselves, that we don't allow ourselves to be moved by that to the point of taking and running with this idea and saying, okay, without integrity, nothing works. So if I'm going to bring integrity to this conversation and have it work, what is that going to look like? Creativity. Creativity is the number one thing for me. And it's creative to see how do we have these conversations? What are some of the, one way of doing it is in love languages. What are some of the things that we can communicate through our love languages to suppress some of the mess. And I want to take a book that I think would make a good topic, a good opportunity for us to share about. And it's The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. And they are words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, and physical touch. And when we see the things that break down in our communication, one of the things that we can do is start to see, where did the integrity go out? Where did our conversation, as we look at the wheel, where did one of the spokes get broken? Where are we dealing with that broken spoke, and how can we shift that? And it really is a fun, experimental conversation without drugs, without alcohol, to be able to look and see. And by the way, we had a couple of people sharing earlier, there are 3 supplements that are very good for supporting our desire to eat, well, just our desire to make a difference in this conversation. And integrity begins with saying, okay, if my past is not complete and there's something going on in that past that I haven't gotten complete, if I bring that past and I stick it in front of me, that means it's going to be in my future, which is going to make me anxious looking through that same issue that I had, looking into the future and looking through the future. If it's right there and I'm dealing with that in the now, am I being responsible for creating something new, or am I following the same path, which will then, of course, produce the same result? And let's think about that. I want everybody to think about that and pause for a moment and see, how many times do we do that? How many times do we actually take a moment to look and see, what could it look like for me to get that piece of anxiety complete? What would it take? What would communication, what would have to happen? What upset would I have to be responsible for? And we're going to take a quick pause here. Hi, I'm Coach Les. This is mancavepodcasting.com. Less is More Coaching podcast and videocast that is brought to you on Clubhouse at the Clubhouse Club of mancavepodcasting.com. If you're interested in putting together a podcast and starting a podcast, please get a hold of Steve Appel. He is the founder of mancavepodcasting.com, and he will share with you how to do it. He will tell you the tools and techniques and tricks. And he will also be the best executive producer that you've ever had. He's amazing. And I'm super excited for this opportunity. And I thank you, Steve, for this opportunity, and continue to thank you for this. And with that, coming right back to Less is More coaching, we're talking about depression and anxiety. And I was just mentioning, what could we do if we were to take that piece of anxiety and communicate about it, tear it apart, look at it, look and see what it is that we're still carrying, look at it from what is the communication that we have to make with somebody to have it be complete. And I want you to see that there's also not a lot that is separating anxiety and depression from our brain when it comes to how do we handle it? Can we ignore it? Or do we have to be responsible for it? Does it empower or disempower those that work with us, for us? And I know I'm maybe a little bit out of turn saying what I'm about to say, and that is, without integrity, nothing works, including taking on overwhelm, not being in communication, not getting coaching, not checking in with an accountability partner, not doing the things that we know to do to support what it is that we want to create into the future. So with that, I'm going to check in. David or Peaches, do you guys want to come up and chat? Do you want to come up and share? Also, Michael, did you want to share something from that? All right, David, Peaches. Michael, are you able to come off mute yet?
Oh, let's see. Am I sounding better?
Yes, I can hear you now. Am I sounding better? I heard it.
Oh, it dropped off. Just give me that interruption. So work Wi-Fi or work cellular service is too great. But no, you make a lot of really good points. You know, well, I was gonna kind of voicing what you were saying earlier is, you know, anxiety has a lot to do with our expectations, and you know, it's controlling those expectations and controlling, you know, how we perceive the future, and not trying to be, you know, not being too cynical about it, and not being too tied down with certain wants and desires. So I think it's good, you know, trying to look at things rationally and take things for as they are, and the good things as they come, along with the bad.
Amen. Well, that's a very good logical point of view, and I think that's the point that, you know, if I'm coming to a conclusion at the end of all of that, it is, how do we master being in the flow of the river of stuff coming at us and sifting through it and pulling out So to finalize this, I want to take and put out there an interesting assignment for people. I want people to take a look, because I know there's going to be a few people watching this on replay. I want you to take a look and see where there are places in your life that have incomplete conversations. Where if you were to step in and say, I have a few minutes conversation, may I share it? And create something possible with yourself, with a client, with your business, whichever and whatever, I think it would be phenomenal homework opportunity to see some of those areas and come next week to share those areas that were out of integrity that you've now taken action on and you're back. Because I know in many musicians' hearts, I've seen So the homework is to look and see how many of those areas could we find. I would love it if you could find at least 2 or 3 areas and take those areas and let's see what we can do to take away some of the anxiety, take away some of the depression by acknowledging it, and then bringing integrity and looking at this wheel and saying, okay, here are the spokes that I see in those 2 areas. And this is how I believe that I can tighten them. This is what I think can be done. The miracle of that. I mean, this app makes miracles happen. This app allows us to share these kind of stories and have people from our past come in. And I'm excited about this homework, and I'm going to do it as well. And I see we've reached our 45-minute mark. So I just want to check in and see if there are any questions about the homework, see if there's any questions about anything we've got cooking. Peaches, David, one more shot to come on up to the mic. So thank you for being here. I know somebody dropped a line in the back earlier and said thanks. Looking forward to, taking it on and coming back next week and being able to share. All right, Michael, anything for you? Think you're still in the matrix, Michael. Sorry. Well, with that, ladies, you might have to go out of the room and come back, Michael. See if that helps. That's what helped this morning. See if he comes back here a second. All right, looks like he might have gotten trapped outside in the outside world. Oof, bummer. All right, well, thank you, David, and thank you, Peaches, for hanging out. I will look for a back channel. Well, with that, I'm going to shut the room down, end the broadcast. Going to play a little brand ender. Here we go.
Coaching with Les has doubled my practice. If you have any struggles in your business or your personal life, Les is your guy.
He's logical, he's empathetic, he has passion for helping people, and his ideas are genuinely thoughtful.
So if you're looking for a business coach with integrity, choose Les Hill.